Johnnie Walker is the best-selling Scotch whisky on the planet. Over 21 million cases went out the door in 2024 alone. That is roughly 3 times more than Ballantine's, the next closest competitor. You have probably seen the bottles. The square shape, the slanted label, the striding man logo walking confidently to the right. But if you have ever stood in a liquor store staring at a wall of coloured labels with absolutely no idea which one to grab, this video is for you. We are going to walk through every single Johnnie Walker expression from the cheapest to the most expensive. By the end, you will know exactly which bottle is worth your money, which ones are overpriced, and which one is the best kept secret in the entire lineup. Before we get into the bottles, you need to understand what Johnnie Walker actually is, because it is not what you think. The story starts in 1820 in Kilmarnock, Scotland. A 15-year-old boy named John Walker used the money from his family's farm sale to open a grocery store. Back then, single malt whiskies were wildly inconsistent from batch to batch. One bottle of the same whiskey could taste completely different from the next. So Walker started blending them together, mixing different malts to create something that tasted the same every time you bought it. That was the innovation. Not a single magical distillery, not a secret recipe. Consistency through blending. His son Alexander took the idea even further. He apprenticed with a tea merchant in Glasgow where he learned the art of blending different teas together to create consistent flavour profiles. He brought those skills back to Kilmarnock and applied them to whiskey, eventually creating what we now call Johnnie Walker Black Label. Alexander also introduced 2 design choices that still define the brand today. The square bottle, which was not about aesthetics. Square bottles packed more efficiently into shipping crates, meaning more whiskey could fit on a ship bound for overseas markets. And the slanted label at 24 degrees, which gave more room for text and made the bottle instantly recognizable on a crowded shelf. His grandsons Alexander II and George took the brand global. They introduced the colour-coded labels in 1909 and expanded distribution into over 120 countries. The striding man logo, that confident figure walking to the right, was sketched by cartoonist Tom Brown during a lunch meeting in 1908. It has barely changed since. Today, Diageo, the largest spirits company on the planet, owns Johnnie Walker and sources whiskey from dozens of distilleries across Scotland to create each blend. That context matters because it tells you what Johnnie Walker actually is. It is not a distillery, it is a blending house. Every bottle is a recipe assembled from whiskies made at other distilleries, not a single source product. And understanding that distinction is the key to understanding why some labels deliver incredible value and others are mostly marketing. Now let us get into the bottles, starting at the bottom of the shelf. Number 1. Red Label. This is the entry point. Around $20 for a 750 milliliter bottle, 40% alcohol by volume, no age statement. Johnnie Walker blends up to 35 different whiskies into Red Label, including Cardew, Caol Ila, Cameron Bridge and Tiananish. The result is a whiskey built for one purpose, mixing. Pour it neat and you will get a sharp, slightly harsh spirit with some sweetness, a hit of spice and a finish that burns more than it lingers. That is not a criticism. That is by design. Red Label was never meant to be a sipping whiskey. Pour it into a highball with soda water and a slice of lemon, mix it with ginger ale or even throw it in a Coke and it works perfectly fine. The bold, slightly aggressive character that makes it unpleasant neat is exactly what allows it to stand up in a mixed drink without disappearing. Red Label is the single best-selling Scotch whisky expression in the world, not because it is the best tasting, but because it is cheap, available in almost every country on Earth, and does its job as a mixer without complaint. Most of the 21 million plus cases Johnnie Walker sells each year are Red Label. It is the workhorse of the entire operation, and it generates the revenue that allows Diageo to produce everything else in the range. If someone tells you Red Label is terrible, ask them how they drank it. 9 times out of 10, they tried to sip it neat. That is like complaining that a wrench makes a bad hammer. Use the tool for what it was built for. Number 2. Black Label. This is where things change dramatically, around $30, 40% alcohol by volume, and a 12-year age statement. That age statement means every single whiskey in the blend has been aged for at least 12 years before going into the bottle. For $30, that is remarkable. Black Label is the flagship, the one that made the Walker name famous worldwide. It has won a double gold at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition, which is a blind taste competition where the judges do not know what brand they are evaluating. The flavor profile hits creamy toffee, rich dark fruit, vanilla, and finishes with a gentle thread of smoke that lingers without overpowering anything. You can sip this neat, pour it over a single large ice cube, or mix it in an old-fashioned or a Rob Roy, and it performs well in all three scenarios. This is the bottle that whiskey enthusiasts point to when they want to prove that blended Scotch can be genuinely good. At $30 with a 12-year age statement and competition medals behind it, Black Label embarrasses bottles that cost twice as much. If you buy one bottle of Johnnie Walker in your life, make it this one. It is the best value in the entire range, and it is not even close. Number 3, Double Black. Around $40, 40% ABV, no age statement. Double Black launched in 2011 as a smokier, more intense version of Black Label. The blending team cranked up the proportion of West Coast and Island whiskies, the peaty ones from distilleries near the sea, and matured them in heavily charred oak casks that add layers of dark, caramelized character. The result is a richer, darker, more aggressive whiskey. Where Black Label whispers smoke at the very end of a sip, Double Black puts it front and center. You get campfire, dark spice, dried fruit, and a lingering warmth that sticks around. It is still approachable. This is not the kind of Scotch that tastes like a Band-Aid soaked in iodine. It is smoky in the way a barbecue is smoky, inviting rather than punishing. If you have ever been curious about smoky Scotch but did not want to commit $50 or $60 to a full bottle of something from the Western Islands of Scotland, Double Black is a low-risk way to find out whether you like that flavor profile. At $40, it punches well above its weight. Number 4, Black Ruby. Around $45, 40% alcohol by volume, no age statement. Black Ruby launched globally in March 2025 and is the first permanent core expression created by Dr. Emma Walker, who took over as Johnnie Walker's master blender in 2022. Where Double Black goes darker and smokier, Black Ruby goes in the opposite direction. It goes sweeter and fruitier. The key is the cask selection. Black Ruby takes whiskies built on a backbone of Rosazel malt, along with components from Clynelish, Glenkinchie, Cardew, Cameron Bridge and Caol Ila, and matures them in a combination of first-fill red wine casks, Pedro Jimenez sherry casks, Oloroso sherry casks, and ex-bourbon barrels. This is not a quick cask finish tacked on at the end. These whiskies spend their full maturation in those casks. That cocktail of cask influence pushes the flavor toward dark berry fruits, raspberry jam, ripe plums, and a honeyed sweetness with just a faint whisper of smoke lingering underneath. This is Johnnie Walker's play for drinkers who come from wine or sweeter spirits and find traditional Scotch too dry or smoky. If someone in your life says they do not like whiskey, pour them a Black Ruby over ice. It might change their mind. The deep burgundy label and dark bottle make it visually distinct from anything else in the lineup, and at $45 it sits in a comfortable middle ground between Double Black and Green Label. Worth noting that Black Ruby is still rolling out to some markets, so availability may vary depending on where you are. Number 5, Black Cask. This is the newest permanent addition to the Johnnie Walker lineup, launched in March 2026 at $35 and 43% alcohol by volume. Black Cask takes selected whiskies from the heart of the Black Label blend and ages them exclusively in American white oak ex-bourbon barrels. No sherry casks, no refill hogsheads, bourbon barrels only. The result leans heavily into the sweet, warm end of the flavor spectrum. Vanilla, caramel, gentle oak spice, and a buttery, smooth finish. Think of it as Johnnie Walker's answer to bourbon drinkers who want to try Scotch but find the smoky or peaty expressions intimidating. The flavor bridge between the two worlds is deliberate. Worth noting that this strength is 3 percentage points higher than both Black Label and Double Black. That might sound trivial, but it makes a real difference on the palate. The extra proof gives the whiskey more body, more texture, and more presence. That price places it comfortably between Black Label and Double Black in both price and character. If you drink bourbon and want a scotch that feels familiar, start here. Number 6. Green Label. This is where the lineup shifts into completely different territory. Around $60 to $70, 43% alcohol by volume, and a 15-year age statement. And here is where you need to understand one crucial distinction. Green Label is a blended malt that is different from a blended scotch. Every other bottle we have talked about so far is a blended scotch, which means it mixes malt whiskey and grain whiskey together. Grain whiskey is lighter, cheaper to produce, and adds smoothness. Blended malt, on the other hand, uses only single malts from different distilleries. No grain whiskey at all. Every drop comes from a single malt. Green Label is built from 4 named distilleries. Talisker from the Isle of Skye brings pepper and rugged coastal character. Cale Ela from the northeast coast of one of Scotland's famous whiskey-producing islands adds brine and a thread of smoke. Cragganmore from Speyside contributes floral depth and a gentle maltiness. And Linkwood, also from Speyside, brings freshness and vibrancy. Every component is aged at least 15 years before going into the blend. Diageo actually discontinued Green Label in 2012. It was gone from shelves for 4 years. Then in 2016, they brought it back as a permanent expression after enough whiskey enthusiasts raised their voices demanding its return. That tells you something about the quality. When a brand voluntarily discontinues a product and then brings it back because the customer base would not let it go, you are dealing with something special. This is widely considered the connoisseur's pick of the entire Johnnie Walker range. If you want to sip a Walker neat, without ice, without mixers, and actually taste the craft behind the blending, Green Label is the one. At $60 to $70 for a 15-year-old blended malt from 4 named distilleries bottled at 43%, it offers more transparency and more complexity than anything else in the lineup at any price. Now for the one that divides opinion more than any other. Number 7. Gold Label Reserve. Around $60 to $70, 40% alcohol by volume, no age statement. Gold Label has a complicated history. The original centenary blend was created by Alexander Walker II in 1920 to mark the brand's 100th anniversary. Due to stock shortages after the war, it was never widely released. Decades later, in the early 1990s, the recipe was revived and launched commercially as Gold Label, an 18-year-old blend built around Clynelish single malt from the Highlands. Then in 2013, Diageo removed the age statement, renamed it Gold Label Reserve, and repositioned it as a smooth, easy drinking premium blend. The flavor leans sweet. Honey, caramel, vanilla, a touch of stone fruit, and a finish that fades quickly. It is deliberately smooth and deliberately inoffensive. Nothing challenges you. Nothing surprises you. And that is exactly the problem. At the same price as Green Label, which gives you a 15-year age statement, 43% alcohol by volume, and 4 named single malt distilleries, Gold Label Reserve offers no age transparency, lower alcohol by volume, and a simpler flavor profile. You are paying for the golden packaging and the word Reserve on the label. Gold Label Reserve exists primarily as a gift bottle. The packaging looks impressive on a shelf or in a presentation box. The whiskey inside is perfectly drinkable. It is just outclassed by its neighbour in every measurable way. If someone gives you a bottle, enjoy it and say thank you. If you are spending your own money at this price point, walk past it and grab Green Label instead. Same price, dramatically more whiskey for your money. If you care about what you are putting in your glass, drop a comment and let us know where you are watching from and what your go-to whiskey or scotch is right now. And it helps the channel more than you think. And if you are not subscribed yet, now is a good time. We break down spirits like this every week, so you know exactly what is worth your money and what is not. Number 8, aged 18 years, around $90, 40% alcohol by volume with an 18-year age statement. This expression used to be called Platinum Label before Diageo simplified the naming. It is a blend of whiskies that have all been aged for at least 18 years, which means you are getting significantly older, more mature components than anything below it in the range. The 18-year-old earned back-to-back double gold medals at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition, which puts it in elite company. The flavor profile is rich, layered, and noticeably more refined than anything else in the lineup. Dark chocolate, dried fruit, toasted oak, espresso, and a long, warming finish that keeps developing for 30 seconds after you swallow. This is a whiskey that rewards patience. Pour it, let it sit in the glass for 5 minutes, and then nose it before you take a sip. You will pick up layers that simply do not exist in the younger expressions. The maturation has rounded off every rough edge and left behind nothing but depth and complexity. At $90, the value conversation gets more complicated. You are paying 3 times what Black Label costs for a whiskey that is better, absolutely, but not 3 times better. The law of diminishing returns is in full effect. If you are celebrating something, treating yourself, or buying for someone who appreciates aged spirits, the 18-year-old delivers a genuinely premium experience. For regular weeknight drinking, Black Label remains the smarter purchase by a wide margin. Number 9. Blue Label, around $190, 40% alcohol by volume, and no age statement. This is the most recognized premium Scotch whisky bottle in the world, and also the most debated bottle in all of Scotch whisky. Diageo says that only 1 in every 10,000 casks from their reserves qualifies for Blue Label. The blend includes whiskey from ghost distilleries, meaning distilleries that have permanently closed and will never produce another drop, making their remaining stock irreplaceable. Each bottle carries an individual serial number printed on the label. The flavor is undeniably smooth, exceptionally, almost uncannily smooth. Honey, dark chocolate, dried fruit, hazelnuts, a hint of smoke, and a long silky finish that coats the palate without a single rough edge. There is nothing harsh, nothing challenging, and nothing confrontational about Blue Label. It is engineered to be universally pleasant, and for a lot of whiskey enthusiasts, that smoothness is actually the criticism. At $190 with 40% alcohol by volume and no age statement, you are paying a premium for rarity and smoothness rather than for complexity, cask strength, or age transparency. For the same money, you could buy a cask-strength single malt from a specific distillery with a 20-year age statement that would deliver 10 times the flavor complexity. Blue Label is not trying to be that. It is trying to be the bottle you buy when you want something that impresses everyone at the table and offends nobody. Blue Label is the best bottle in the Johnnie Walker range if you are buying it as a gift for someone who does not drink whiskey regularly. It is universally appealing, the packaging commands attention, and nobody has ever opened a bottle of Blue Label and been disappointed. If you are buying it for yourself and you already have a developed palate, you will likely find more satisfaction, more character, and more value in the single malt world at this price point. Now, if you thought Blue Label was the top of the mountain, it is not. There is an entire tier above it that rarely gets talked about. Consider this the bonus round. John Walker & Sons XR21, around $275, 40% alcohol by volume, with a 21-year age statement. XR stands for extra rare. Every whiskey in this blend has been aged for at least 21 years, which makes it the oldest age-stated expression Johnnie Walker currently offers in its permanent range. The flavor is rich, layered, and noticeably more complex than Blue Label. Dried apricot, dark toffee, leather, oak, and a long finish that keeps evolving. If Blue Label is designed to impress everyone, XR21 is designed to impress people who actually know whiskey. The 21-year age statement alone puts it in a different conversation. Then there is King George V, around $600, 43% alcohol by volume. This one was created to commemorate the royal warrant that John Walker & Sons received from King George V in 1934. What makes it special is the inclusion of whiskey from Port Ellen, a distillery on one of Scotland's famous Western Islands that closed in 1983 and whose remaining stock is irreplaceable. Every time someone opens a bottle of King George V, there is a little less Port Ellen whiskey left in the world. The flavour is intense. Salted caramel, dried fruit, sea salt, deep smoke, and layers of complexity unfold over minutes. At 43% alcohol by volume, it also has more body than Blue Label. This is a collector's bottle and a whiskey lover's bottle at the same time. And finally, the Blue Label Ghost and Rare series. These are limited edition releases priced between $350 and $600, bottled at 43.8% ABV. Each edition is built around whiskey from a different ghost distillery, meaning a distillery that has permanently closed. Past editions have featured Pittyvike, Port Dundas, Glenary Royal, Port Ellen, and Brora. Once a ghost distillery's remaining casks are emptied, those flavours are gone forever. That is what you are paying for, not marketing, not packaging. If you see one on a shelf, it is worth knowing that it will never be made again. Those three sit above Blue Label in both price and, in the opinion of most serious whiskey drinkers, quality. They are not everyday bottles. They are bottles you buy once, open on the right occasion, and remember. So here is the short version: red label for mixing, black label for value, double black for smoke, black ruby for fruit, black cask for bourbon drinkers, green label for sipping neat, skip gold label reserve. And if someone hands you a Blue Label, say thank you and enjoy it. New videos every week. Subscribe so the algorithm actually shows them to you.